Hi folks! In this video we will be talking about multiple intelligences and how they relate to sociology. So I wanted to begin this discussion by talking about your journal entries from last week. I learned quite a bit from them about the ways that you all think about fixed mindset and growth mindset in classrooms. And so what I learned was that there is quite a fear of taking risks in education, mainly due to grades and also due to a fear of quote unquote looking dumb. And that a lot of you have felt a desire to give up, even sometimes without trying, and that in a lot of cases this has led to less learning of content. In the growth mindset classrooms where that you talked about curiosity, interest, enhancement of skills, less of a fear of looking dumb, not letting setbacks hold you back, and learning more content. Almost every single person in the class expressed fear of looking dumb in the classroom or fear of getting poor grades. So this is very common in the classes that I teach. Most of the students that I teach have felt this way in fixed mindset classrooms. And that's mainly because we all have different ways of learning, and there are many different kinds of minds. We all learn differently. We all have different strengths. But our culture has a fixed mindset when it comes to learning and assessment. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the idea of being smart or being intelligent. After reading your journal entries, I learned that many of us have different ways of thinking about what being smart is or what being good at academics is. So, what is the traditional way of thinking about smart? How do we know someone is smart from the traditional point of view? I would say that mainly the ways that we think we know that someone is smart is if they get good grades, or maybe if they have a high IQ, or maybe if they make a lot of money. So I'd like to go over these things, especially the idea of IQ. So what is IQ? IQ is a score that is derived from standardized tests. Some of you have probably taken an IQ test. Others of you probably have not taken an IQ test. But this is a test that in our culture has been regarded as a way of telling how smart somebody is. How high your IQ is supposed to tell how smart you are. But I wanted to put this forward to you, and as something for you to think about because, where did this IQ test come from? It had to come from somewhere, right? So the IQ test was actually written by a German psychologist named William Stern in 1912. In some ways, it has changed over the years, but its basic premise has not changed over the years. So it's over 100 years old now. But the most important thing about the IQ test is the fact that it was written by a person. It was an expert. In 1912, it was someone who was considered an expert in the field. But how much has changed in 100 years? And why is it just this person's way of thinking about how somebody might be smart or somebody might not be smart? Why is this used as the standard way of regarding whether or not somebody is smart? Let's look at this in regards to the IQ test. This is called the Flynn effect. So this is IQ over time. What you can see in this chart is that from 1910 to 1990, the average IQ has raised a huge amount from an average of a score of 75 to an average of a score of 100. So here's the big question. What are some reasons that IQ might be higher now than before? Okay, this is what we call the Flynn effect. Is it that people are just getting smarter over time? This would mean that biologically we are born differently than we were in 1910. So are we just being born smarter? Or what are some other reasons? Is it that people might be better at taking tests now and so do better on the test because we're better at taking tests? Is there more support for test taking and preparation? Are there people out there who can help you prepare for tests like the IQ tests? IQ tests change over time and are different in different cultures to support shifting norms. And so that might be another reason that IQ changes over time. But the important thing that I want to point out to you is that IQ is what we call a socially constructed phenomenon. It's something that is not biologically driven. It's not driven by the natural world. It has been created by individuals, and so what has been considered to be intelligent it has been constructed by individuals and then through social interaction has come to be considered the norm for intelligence in our culture. So that might be people who do well on the IQ test, people who memorize stuff well and so are very good taking tests, people who are good test takers. So these are examples of ways that someone might be called smart in our culture, but does that mean that they are smarter than everybody else? That's the question. So we get to the idea of multiple intelligences. The idea behind multiple intelligences is that intelligence is determined according to several different modalities. This was developed by a different psychologist, an American psychologist named Howard Gardner in 1983. And what Howard Gardner believed is that all of us have all 8 types of intelligence, but to varying degrees. So you can see there are all these different types of intelligence. There's naturalistic intelligence, people who are really good with animals, plants, and nature. There is linguistic intelligence, people who excel in word and languages. There's visual spatial intelligence. These are people who end up being good designers and engineers who are good with shapes and graphics. There's kinesthetic intelligence, someone who's very good in their body. Musical intelligence and logical intelligence, which is are people who are very good at math and logical thinking. Intrapersonal intelligence, which is the ability to understand our own inner feelings and have self-realization. And interpersonal intelligence, which is being good with other people, the ability to organize people, and being very good with social relationships. Howard Gardner believed that all of these intelligences were equal. The math one wasn't better than all of the others, and neither was the linguistic one. All of them are equal. We all have a little bit of some of them, and some are more developed in us than in others. multiple intelligence is different from learning styles, which is how we approach problems. So I want to direct you to these videos. They are on the modules page under the week 2 videos, and I recommend that you look at them so that you can learn more about multiple intelligences. Another thing I wanted to look at is intelligence across cultures. So, how we look at intelligence in our culture in the United States is different than how intelligence is looked at in other cultures. Researchers from the University of Michigan found that in the United States, what is considered intelligent or smart is having cognitive speed, or being able to solve math problems quickly, or being the first one to raise your hand when a question is asked in the classroom. However, that's not the same in Taiwan, for instance. For Taiwanese people, intelligence is measured by the emphasizes the understanding and the ability to understand and relate to others. In some African countries, cleverness and social responsibility were indicators of intelligence. And in different African countries, a combination of academic intelligence, respect, responsibility, and consideration were considered indicators that somebody is smart and intelligent. These are skills that facilitate harmonious group relations in their culture, and so they feel that this indicates intelligence. So because intelligence is different across cultures, and because intelligence is defined differently according to the idea of multiple intelligences and even by the IQ, we call intelligence socially constructed. Intelligence isn't the same over time. It's not the same across cultures. There are different ideas on ways to view and measure intelligence have emerged at different times in history. And intelligence is determined by people in interaction with each other. So, in other words, intelligence is not an inherent characteristic, although we have come to learn it, to learn that that is the case. So I'd like to have you learn a little bit more about what socially constructed means. So take the time to view the next video. The next video talks about a lot of different theories, but if you want to skip forward through to the part on social constructionism, it starts with this image. And you can start there and listen to my lecture on social constructionism. It might help you to understand what I mean by intelligence being socially constructed. Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you.